Hey there, kiddo. This is one of the legendary Postal dudes from the Postal series. Listen, do you ever get the VŌC Podcast feeling? It's the feeling that makes you much more relaxed and comfortable. Make sure to grab a cold drink and an empty bottle so that the little flowers don't have to grow. I always listen to these guys, and let me just tell you this, I regret nothing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the VŌC Podcast. I'm Ronald. I'm a voice actor and a sound engineer. I'm here with my very good friend, Eric.
Hey, y'all. I'm Eric. I'm a graphic designer. I also freelance, do illustration work and video work.
And on today's episode, we are going to interview Corey Candray. Introduce yourself. You get the chance, of course, too.
My name is Corey Candray. I'm an American voice actor, producer, writer, editor, musician, husband, father, brother, sister. Well, I'm not a sister. I'm a sibling. And I live in Arizona in the United States.
A beautiful place for beautiful
Very
people.
beautiful place. I'm from Chicago.
Is that where you are right now?
I live in the suburbs.
Yeah. All right. Well, best to you guys. And Ronald is on the other side of the earth from us.
Yes, so it's very good to hear that an American knows geography so well.
One of my hobbies.
Okay, so how about we begin with the questions, if you are up to it. So, what exactly got you into the industry of voice acting?
Well, that goes way back to the days when I was in university, and I was one of those students who wasn't the greatest student in the world, but I was in a lot of classes and working towards a degree in business at the time. And somebody in one of my classes, I don't remember, it might have been a geography class actually, it was sitting next to me and he heard me talking to somebody and he said something about the sound of my voice and that I should go to there was a radio and television production department at this university I went to, and he suggested I take some classes there and kind of feel out what that might be like as far as a career was concerned. And the next semester I enrolled in some classes over there and really kind of, I don't know if fell in love with it is the right word, but it really attracted my interests as far as maybe a career for something like that. Previous to that, I had been a musician from the time I was a teenager. I play bass guitar in bands to this day, and I've always loved music, and listening to the radio was something I did a lot of growing up, and paying attention to a lot of music and the way they do things on the radio and television, of course, as well. And I became sort of enamored with the radio world and thought that would be kind of a really fun, cool place to maybe make a career and see what I could do with it. And so I continued taking classes at the university and eventually got a part-time job working at a commercial radio station in the state that I grew up in, which is Washington State. And for 30 plus years, I worked in the radio industry, both as an air personality, or what used to be called a DJ. Now a DJ means something different, I think, to a lot of people, especially the younger generations, where you have your dance parties with the DJs and all of that. Back in the day, a DJ was the guy on the radio who played the songs and talked in between. And I did a lot of that for many years. And as part of that career, it became clear pretty quickly that using my voice on advertising and commercials and learning how to do production of that stuff would be a very potentially lucrative and good direction for me to go with my career. And so I took that on early in my career as far as doing production and using my voice for commercials. I was actually asked by a lot of people to do that within the radio station. And so that became my primary job at the radio station. So I spent the last 25 years as the production director of a group of radio stations here in Arizona, actually, which encompassed a lot of different things, from voicing scripts to writing scripts to editing scripts to designing advertising campaigns for clients, both big and small, from large corporations here in town like Pepsi-Cola, Comcast, and also working sometimes with the mayor or the Chamber of Commerce, or even little small businesses. No business is small, actually. I don't want to say that, but everybody's business is big to them and important. But I did a lot of advertising work for local businesses as well.
So your voice can be heard like in a commercial from Comcast?
It's been a long time since I worked with the Comcast people, but that was actually a local thing that I did for Comcast for this market here. I live in an area called Tucson, Arizona, which is about 1 million people in the greater metro area. And there obviously a lot of big corporations have operations here, national and international corporations. And so to get a gig with a company like that was pretty good at the time. That's one of many I've done over the years.
So you went to school for business. Why in particular did you decide to do that? And you also said you had a musical background. Did you ever think as a kid you would be like a musician, someone like famous, Oh
man, that's a loaded question. It's almost, in retrospect, it's kind of, as an old man now, it's looking back on it. I if I could do things differently and have different goals at the time for different areas of success, I may do things differently. I may not. I don't know. Life's turned out okay. It's turned out pretty good for me. But okay, so going way back, as a kid, I was primarily an athlete. I played every sport I could for a very long time, all the way through high school. My primary sport was football, and I played that, and I was dead set on becoming a professional football player and playing in the NFL. Eric knows what that is. I don't know if Ronald.
Yeah,
does.
I do.
Yeah. Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears. Yeah.
So I grew up in Washington State, so the Seattle Seahawks were back then. So, but that was my thing. I really loved that sport. I was pretty good at it, and the one big problem with that was I'm not a very big guy. I'm only 5'8", 165.
Oh, wow.
So that's, you're not going to be a big professional football, even a college player. Well, you could get away with, some guys can, at being smaller. So that was something that, by the time later in high school, realized, okay, I wasn't ever going to be that big guy who could achieve that. What else can I do? And then rewind a little bit around middle school. Well, what you guys call middle school now, it used to be called junior high school back in the late 70s, early 80s. I learned to play the bass guitar and was really into music at that time, rock music primarily. And so, I had friends, and we played in bands. We formed bands and did that whole garage band thing. Actually, we played in the basement at my mom's house, which was
That's so nice.
That's awesome.
Bless my mom for letting us rock out in her basement for months and years, actually, through high school. So, part of that whole thing was, hey, let's become a rock star. Well, geez, that'll be easy and fun.
You guys ever get noise complaints?
I'm sure the neighbors just hated it. But as far as I know, there were never any complaints. We somehow got away with it,
well, that's good.
And survived. So that was another. So my two big things, I guess, I'm making this a really long story. Sorry, I tend to be long-winded. So sorry, guys.
No, it's good. It's good for the audience.
So the two things I wanted to be were a professional football player and a rock star someday, which were are two of the biggest long shots in the world to achieve that fame and fortune. And the fame, I wasn't so interested, but the making that kind of money, doing two things that I loved doing. Well, hell yeah. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
Sure.
He can, right, Ronald?
Of course.
Heck yeah. So anyway, those were two things that I wanted to do. And then obviously those weren't going to work out. And by the time I graduated high school and went to college, it was one of those okay moments where I guess I better figure something else out to do with my career. And so I just initially when I went to college, it was, I'll become a business major. You can do a lot of different things with that type of degree. But I wasn't ever a great student anyway. So once the opportunity to explore something that could be a profession that was totally within my interest, the rock and roll radio thing, well, yeah, to that. It was, so I started working on being a DJ early on. And that's how when I left college, I went and immediately worked in the rock and roll radio world as a graveyard disc jockey for my first full-time job was almost 3 years as the overnight. I worked from midnight to 6 Monday through Friday as the overnight classic rock DJ. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth on becoming a broadcasting person, and then spent 30 plus years until COVID here recently actually ended that career for me back in April. So this has been it's been a challenging year.
It's terrible. What do you do now that you're home?
Well, about 7 or 8 years ago, I had the feeling like, well, it's now or never. Get your stuff together and get the equipment together, get what you need, get the resources, start learning more about doing a home studio instead of relying on the studio at the radio station, because I was able to do freelance voiceovers out of the radio station for many years. It was just kind of an unwritten agreement with management. They knew that guys in my position get asked to do voiceovers, and where else are we going to do it? And a lot of times it's clients at the radio station who also want to use you for something else. And so I would just do the voiceovers at the radio station. Well, I thought, gee, I should have the gear and the ability to do all of this at my house for just in case I get fired someday, because in the radio world, it's typically a very high turnover rate. You don't stay in the same radio job for very long. It's very rare. I was really fortunate to work with this company for 27 years. However, I did decide to get the gear together and my resources, and as far as what to do and who to contact and all of those things and how to build a client base, and put the stuff together, and have had the gear in my house usable in the capacity that I'm using it today to do voiceovers in a professional manner right out of a room in my house. This is actually just a really small bedroom in my house that I've put some acoustic tiling in to dampen the reflective nature of the acoustics and make it tighter. And so what I do in here sounds like I'm in a recording studio booth. And so now I've been working on building my client base since April, pretty much, when I got laid off because of COVID. And I'm for hire if anybody needs me.
Given that there is a vaccine coming soon and a possibility, a big if the world goes back to normal, like within the next year, are you willing to go back to where you worked, like in the past 6 years, or do you see yourself just as like a freelancer now, or someone who's starting up their own company?
Yes, to all of that.
To all of that?
Well, it's honestly, working for yourself is something I think probably most people reach toward doing, and it's something I've always thought would be what a great, who wants to have a boss? Raise your hand.
No, I love freelancing.
If you can get it done by yourself and build up enough client base and have enough steady income stream, why would you go back to do the other? At this point, could I juggle both? Possibly. It depends on where we're at, based on how the economy turns around and how fast that happens. If the radio industry, the broadcast industry revenues start coming back soon, there are a lot of ifs in that equation. If the company I worked for called me the middle of 2021 or whenever and said, hey, we'd like you to come back, but part-time, I might say, well, can I do that from home remotely, which we've proven that I can do, because I was actually doing a little bit of that at the beginning of COVID for the radio company. I started working home out of this studio and proved that it was very, very feasible to do. If they asked me to do that, I would consider that. I do really enjoy the freelance aspect and developing new relationships with new clients and really kind of exploring the different areas of voiceover, because for so many years I primarily did radio commercials. Along the way, a few narrations for different people and corporations that I was asked to do, people who word of mouth, and they contacted me and I was able to do those things. I always thought that was a lot of fun when I did that along the way. And of course, couldn't foresee COVID and having to permanently, all of a sudden, that's all I had to do, which is kind of where I'm at now. And that's my story.
There's which I should probably add to the question, since we have a question regarding it. Do you have any advice for like people who are trying to get into like any industry, be it like what you're doing, be it like other stuff, like someone who's like struggling to have a start? What should they do?
Invest in yourself. Well, believe in yourself first, and research. There is so much information, not all of it great, most of it is pretty good online. Obviously, there are so many resources you can look up and people you can contact and get advice from. Don't hesitate to try to contact those people. You know, the old fishing story, you throw your line in the water 10 times, one of those times you're going to get a fish. And so don't hesitate to contact people who you think wouldn't ever in a million years get back to you. Well, that's one thing I would have to say. Definitely get coaching. Find a voiceover coach, an acting coach, somebody to train you, to point out things that you may not see in yourself, that you know, whether it's right or wrong or good or bad. There are a lot of different approaches to voiceover. There's acting, there's commercial voiceover, there's narration. You know, there are different areas you can go into. Find your niche if you can, and be the best you can be at that niche. I'm still working on trying to find mine. I've done a lot of different voiceovers. I'm not really sure which one is my best, but keep working on it. Do I try to learn something every day? Yeah, I definitely do. I try to find different newsletters that I can subscribe to, find different angles of attack from different coaches or people in the industry, different actors. There are a lot of workshops you can get involved with. There's a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but yeah.
It's very appreciated.
So, do you have a favorite type of art medium, Corey?
Music.
Of course. Music.
Definitely. I think I'm not good with visual art at all. That is not a strength of mine. If I need something designed visually, I have to hire somebody to do it. I can't. I don't have the visual artistic mode that, you know, I think that's just innate in people who, and it always impresses me so much when I know what I like when I see it, when I see a beautiful work of art in you know, various capacities. But could I ever do that? I don't think so. When I see a blank piece of paper, I see a blank piece of paper. I don't see the art that it could become. However, music is something that I again, as I mentioned earlier, gravitated to early on, and became pretty good at working on. I've even been in a band that put together a CD of original music. That was about almost 10 years ago now. That was a lot of fun to do. It's the only time I had the opportunity to do that in a band. We had a great singer, and she really put down some beautiful work on this CD that we put together.
Do you have it anywhere by any chance?
Do I have it? Well, here I can show you
Oh my goodness.
The
Oh wow.
That
that's
is
the
beautiful.
that's
And I see
the
the
CD
map.
in there.
This
What's
guy's
that?
this guy really loves geography, I can already tell. Right, Corey?
Like, say that again, Ronald.
You really love
Geography.
geography, don't you?
I'm, like I said, I'm kind of a history buff, geography. I love to travel. It's challenging right now, obviously, because you can't
Yes.
really travel
Yeah.
very much, but just kind of a hobby of mine. I think something I really got more interested in the older I got. Wasn't something that was really piquing my interest back in college, or maybe I would have gotten a degree in archaeology or history or something.
Archaeology is awesome.
Something that you can't make a lot of money in either, kind of like being a radio DJ. Or
Do you by any chance have that CD online somewhere so people can listen, or is it more of something that you want to keep?
I believe we put it was actually an EP. It was 5 songs that we recorded, and I believe they're all on iTunes or on some of these subscription services.
Are they on Amazon?
Are they on Spotify?
Maybe on Spotify. I actually didn't keep much track of that at the time because I wasn't thinking about it in terms of making money or being famous. It was just kind of something I did with my bandmates, and I was really honored and proud to be a part of it. If you go online, the name of the band was Vintage Sugar.
Vintage Sugar.
And there might be videos, you might come up with some of the music as well. But I play bass on all the tracks on that song, on that EP of songs. So that was a lot of fun, and that was about 10 years ago.
Vintage. Well, no vintage sugar, but we found vintage coffee. I think that's not going to be it.
Vintage Sugar.
That doesn't seem to be it. Anyways, vintage sugar. Okay. Well, can't seem to find anything on YouTube, so I don't think it's okay.
I'm sure it's somewhere in the
Might have to
depths of
dig
the
deeper.
internet.
Might be on the 4th or 5th page of the Google search. I don't know.
We have to dig deep, very deep.
Dig deep.
I know there is some stuff online. I might be able to send you guys something too.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, if you send it, we're going to tell all the viewers to check it out. Because
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I hope they like the music if they check it out.
If they don't like the music, then it's their fault, I guess.
Then they have bad taste.
Yes.
What type of genres did you and your band experiment with, and also what type of music did you necessarily grow up with? You said you really liked rock, so.
Well, I'm over 50 years old, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s listening to hard rock music, primarily bands like AC/DC, Van Halen, Rush was one of my favorites, The Police.
I love The Police.
Artists like that, and to this day, Sting is probably my favorite musician. Sting and the bass player from Rush, his name was Geddy Lee. Those are 2 of my biggest musical inspirations. I like a lot of forms of music, pop, rock, jazz. I actually like listening to classical music. I have a deep appreciation for those are real musicians, the people who, classical music. And, I would absolutely sit through a symphony if we could go to a symphony these days. That is the top level of the music echelons. But for me, the music I've always played, the band Vintage Sugar, we were a pop rock band, so with a female singer. And so the music we put together was kind of this sort of alternative pop rock sound. And I hope you guys get the chance to hear it, and you'll know what I'm saying.
I love alternative music and pop rock.
Yeah, it wasn't hard rock. It was kind of more on the pop rock side. We had a keyboardist as well who was super accomplished. He's a professor, a music professor, and he can really play. And the guitarist is exceptional, and so was the singer. So that was a lot of fun. I've played in a lot of different bands over the years, mostly hard rock bands. The current band I play in it's called Drop D. And
Drop D.
Yeah, we play around the Southwest here, and we've played in Phoenix, in Las Vegas, and here in Tucson. And it's a lot of fun. It's all an all cover band. We play, we cover other band songs. We don't do any original music at this point. And it's mostly, for me, it's a lot of fun. It's not a way to make a living, but when we do get paid for some of the gigs, it's kind of just a bonus sort of a thing. And during COVID, of course, it's not been something that's happening a lot lately. So all the more reason for this whole pandemic to go away, please. Go away.
Get away. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to the question, which may be really interesting for you, because I don't know if you play any games. Now, do you play any games? Tell us.
You're talking computer games, not board games, right?
Well, all kinds of games.
Yeah, any game, video games, board games, card games.
Well, again, as old as I am, the first video game I played when it came out was Pong. You guys know what Pong is? The dot that went across the screen and you had a paddle and it, back and forth. Yes. It was like tennis.
Yes. Was it on the Atari 2600?
And we had an Atari. Well, I played it before the Atari 20. It was a friend had some early version of a video game attached to his TV, and we played it at his house sometime in the, maybe late 1970s. And then in around whenever the Atari 2600 came out, my parents got us one of those for Christmas. And when I say us, I have an older brother. And so we played with that for about 3 to 4 months, and somehow it broke.
Oh, wow. And I still have mine.
We were devastated. It stopped working. We had 4 or 5 different cartridges that you could stick in. One was a tank game. There was a snow
I have that.
Yeah, Tank Battle or something like that. And one was a snow skiing game, and where you skied through the course. And there were a few others. I don't recall exactly what they were. So that was my indoctrination into video games. And then when I was in junior high school, the video arcades that you would go to with the stand-up console games like Asteroids and Pac-Man and things like that, I spent a lot of quarters into those machines when I was a teenager playing. My very favorite was actually one called Asteroids Deluxe. And I spent way too much of my allowance on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Back in the day. And then the different games started coming in, like the Marios, and my friends had, and at this point, we didn't have a console like that at home, a home gaming console, but friends did. And so I'd go to their houses and play a lot of those games in the 80s. And then by the time the 90s rolled around, I was, in college and working my way towards a career, and I didn't do a whole lot of the gaming stuff. I was focused more on, I'd met my wife around that time, and we've been married for almost 30 years now. And just life happens, and along the way I got involved with a few different computer PC video games like Age of Empires.
I love Age of Empires.
I used to have a lot of fun with that. Late at night after my wife, she would go to bed early, and then we had a daughter and she would go to bed early, and I would sit for a couple hours at the computer and play that. This kind of a strategy game, and I liked that a lot. We got one of the first I forgot, Sony, they're not Sony.
PS1, PlayStation 1.
Remember the Wii, the first Wii?
The Wii, yes.
Yeah, I do this because we had that. There was that handle, you could wave the wand around. And, we got the first generation of that when my daughter was getting a little bit older, and she could play games like that too. And so we had the simple games that came with it, and I of course had to buy a combat game. So I bought, what was it? I forget the name of it. Not Combat Arms, but it was a first-person shooter. It's a very popular series today.
Call of Duty or Medal
Call
of
of Duty.
Honor?
Yes, Call of Duty. Duh. So I had one of those on the Wii, and I played a bit of that, some of the campaigns, and I enjoyed that first-person shooter aspect. That was fun. To this day, I don't have a gaming system in my house. But I do have a tablet, and so I play some of those silly little tablet games. I've got a back to the tank game. I have a tank combat game on there that I still play every once in a while, and a few other things. But that's mostly the extent of my gaming career, other than
Okay.
being a voiceover in video game.
Have you played any of the Postal games, Corey? Have you played those, or?
I actually have not. I have not. I have watched a lot of the results online, other people playing it, just to kind of experience what the result was after I laid down all the voiceover tracks for the Postal game that I was involved with, which was 3.
Did you know what you got yourself into by any chance?
Yep, I did. I knew there was a lot of controversy around it, and to this day, it's not the only game that's controversial.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's not even close. It was, at the time, it drew a lot of attention, just primarily because of the name and what was going on at the time. And do I condone any of that? I'm not here to condone or not to condone. I'm here as a I did that as a voice actor role, and I did that as an income generating thing for myself and my family, which it was a very good paycheck. And it was good experience for me to work on getting inside a character's head and working that voice out and becoming a part of that world, whatever it may be. That's what an actor does.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of fun doing it while you're recording?
Fun is relative in that it was most of it we did in one long session at a professional studio here in Tucson. And I was in the vocal booth most of the day while the director and the gaming people and producer were in another room, and we take little breaks here and then. It was a lot of work, actually, doing all the takes and getting them to where everybody felt they were right. And it was a great experience for me, as far as that was one of the first character role that I had done like that. And it was challenging and rewarding at the same time.
Yes. Was there actually any difference between your voice and the voice of the Postal dude? Did you have to make any differences with the voice, or?
When you do a character, any character, you need to really try to examine do a little character analysis. Who is this person? What are his thoughts and feelings, and where's he coming from? And then try to bring that out. And so for that particular character, it was very clear that he was somebody who was very skeptical of authority. He was a bit angry and maybe looking for some vengeance. He was tired.
Yes.
But he was motivated at the same time. He was a very moody character, obviously. And, was he hungover all the time? Maybe. It might have been a little bit of that too. And so you try to put all of those things together and then come out with this, what you hope is consistency all the way through with the way you're portraying this character's voice. And I think I did that. It was a long time ago. It was almost 15 years ago.
Oh,
I think.
My goodness.
When I did
I don't
that.
know. I really don't know when did Postal 3 came out, to be honest.
Do you know anything about the Postal movie?
The movie that came out 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Anything as far as, did I watch it?
Did you ever watch it or know anything of it?
I watched about 2/3 of it. And that actually, I think I stopped watching because I had it on a tape, and something came up and I had to stop watching it. I had to go be a dad. I had to take care of my daughter or something, and I just never got back around to watching it. And I don't know, it was interesting. I don't think it won any Academy Awards.
I don't think it has either.
Nope.
But going back, would you ever want to be part of like any future game projects if offered?
For Postal specifically, or for any game?
For anything.
Oh, absolutely. I regularly audition for everything from video games to commercials to narration videos for online, for websites and things like that. I've done a couple of other smaller scale characters for video games, and I'm totally open to. I would love to. I mean, I kind of have a specific voice skill that it's the characters that I would play wouldn't be a youthful character, obviously. Would I be more in the range of maybe a villain? Absolutely. I've got various villain voices that I can do. I've got a couple of accents that I can incorporate as well.
Can you show us? Can you show us something?
Can I show you something? I can do a Russian accent. If you want a Russian mafia guy to come to your house and take care of things, I can do that. Yeah. I also can do a Spanish accent, which it might take me. I'm not prepared for this. Let's see. It's let's see. Sí, señora. Well, see, I don't want to do it in English. No, that's kind of a combination of an Italian Spanish. You don't want that. I'd have to work on things. If I had a script in front of me, I can roll through it better. But I'm totally open. If
prepared for Spanish.
When the call comes, I will be there.
Of course. So, do you know anything about Postal 4?
Maybe.
Well, we do know that there is a new voice actor for the Postal dude, and it isn't. And it's John. I'm not sure if you know him.
John St. John.
John St. John, yeah.
I don't know him personally, but I know of him.
How so? Neither you or Rick were called in for the Postal dude.
Who's to say I wasn't?
Oh.
And I'm not a part of it.
Well, you are not a part of it, but were you called in for the Postal dude?
More information to come. I actually can't talk about it until we have made further progress with working on the game.
I see.
So it means you are working on it.
No comment.
Kind of. Okay.
Very possibly.
I have an idea what it may be. I don't know why, but it may be a return. I don't know. But we are happy to hear.
I haven't seen details on any of the scripting yet. So exactly what my participation will be is to be determined.
Of course. Well,
but there will be participation by me in the upcoming.
Well, but you are not going to be the main Postal dude. We know that. Or Running with Scissors is going to make a possible chance to select your Postal dude, which would be a nice one, but I don't think that's happening. Maybe just a return of the Postal 3 dude. Who knows?
Time will tell.
Let's try and not break his NDA.
I signed an agreement, and I cannot give details.
Very secret information
at this point. Yeah. Time will tell.
Yeah, of course. So
in the meantime, I'm available to work on other projects.
You are available.
You hear that, everyone?
Everyone who hears this, he is available, so call him.
Go contact him.
My contact information is a lot easier to find on the internet than the band that I told you about earlier.
Of course. We will link his website link in the description so you can call him when you need him.
And I'd love to hear from anybody. Send me an email and I will get back to you. Guaranteed.
Yes, make sure to write him an email too.
So it's doing radio work and also voiceovers for video game characters. Have you ever considered being an actor for a movie or TV show if you haven't done so already?
The only time I've ever been a part of a film production in that capacity was when I was in high school. There was a movie filmed called Vision Quest. It was about a high school wrestler, and they filmed it in my hometown of Spokane, Washington. And they used the different high schools in the city, and they used kids from the high schools as the extras. in the filming process. And I was actually I don't know how they did. They must have gone through the yearbook the previous year and chose different headshots of kids and then selected those people to be in the background scenes of the movies. And I was one of the kids selected. And so I got to spend a whole day on a movie set as part of this. And I was just in the background of one of the scenes in the movie. And that was a really fun experience. I enjoyed that, but I didn't see it as ever being anything I would do to make a living out of. I was not a theater kid. I was not good at memorizing lines. I've got to be able to read the lines. And I knew that would never be my calling. And then when I got to college, I started losing my hair. I don't know if you guys noticed or not. And that, because I was actually, when I got into the radio television department at the university, I was considering maybe going into news broadcasting, specifically sports broadcasting, because I was so into sports. And then I started losing my hair and the problems with the lighting on the head and all. And I lost a lot of confidence actually also when that happened. So I decided that being on camera was something that was never going to be for me. It was just something that didn't feel right for me. It always made me feel uncomfortable. Even doing this podcast with a video camera in front of me weirds me out a little bit. But to this day, I have never participated in any way other than way back in high school, just for that. But would I consider doing it if somebody were interested in using me for something like that, I suppose, but I might be getting a little old and not have the required acting background, theater training and all of that they would be looking for. So I stick to voiceovers. I think that's more my wheelhouse because you don't know what I look like, especially if I put a...
Well, voice acting.
Do what makes you happy.
Well, voice acting, I would say voice acting is much easier than acting because you don't have to memorize the lines.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing for us.
There. No.
That's nice. Anyways, so let us continue. The next question is favorite type of movie. Do you have any favorite types of movies?
I like action movies. I like historical based movies, especially movies that Tom Hanks has done some really fantastic work, and I respect his, like Apollo 13 was to me just a brilliant movie. And then the movie that was made, I forgot, about the soldier who they went back and saved in World War II because his other brothers were killed. I forget, it was also a Tom Hanks movie, the name of it. I really enjoy movies like that. I really enjoy actually mostly these days watching documentaries on everything from music to history to what happened in a certain country at a certain period of time. That's some of the stuff, cinema, that I tend to lean towards these days.
So in any way, if a fan wanted to contact you for a mod or fan project, perhaps Postal or something like that, would you be able or want to participate?
Yes, I have actually done that before.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Have you?
I have.
We don't know about that. This is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if what they did was probably mostly an internal thing that they kept to themselves, or among groups of friends.
Have you been told about the name of the project?
No, actually. The one that I did was, again, it was mostly an internal thing that this guy and his friends were doing. And I just laid down a few little voiceovers for him, and he sent me some money through PayPal to do it, and I was happy to do that. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
As far as being able to do that for any, it would depend, and I'd like to look over the lines for it first.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
In Postal's case, were there any lines that you were like, nope, I'm not doing this. Or
Yeah, crossing the lines.
No, again, that was 15 years ago or something like that. But I don't recall there being anything so outlandish and crazy in the actual scripting that I said, no way, I can't do this. Again, they were paying me on a contract, so I was pretty locked into doing it. And again, have there been games that got raunchier and go different, crazier places than that? Yep.
Of course.
Was it one of those? It was pretty raunchy and crazy. Yeah, it was. But again, it's an acting role, and it's you do what you can for the part, and try to make it come alive. And I don't, if you overanalyze it, I think you could find yourself in trouble. And
when I was taking a shower, I was like, what should I ask? And I wrote this shit.
Those shower thoughts.
Well, and we also have questions from fans. And when I included not only Postal questions, but all questions are Postal related. So this is just because I wanted to stick to the kind of a thing you asked, Corey. Like, you don't want only Postal questions, which is, of course, correct and okay.
Yeah, that's just been a very, very small part of my career.
Yes,
and
still
happy to
thousands of
answer
people,
them, but
millions of people think your work is perfect because, as a matter of fact, people think your voice and your acting was really good for Postal Free, but a lot of people actually dismissed the game. So as developers, do you know anything about this? That the people didn't really like the game itself.
Oh yeah, I know that there were some issues in it, way outside of and beyond the work that I did. I believe there were some developer issues between the originators of the game and, let's say, another entity that got involved. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that was so far out of my hands, and I'm not a techie guy as far as is designing and coding and all of the things that go into, by all the amazing people who do that work to get the game running so the graphics look good and everything operates correctly. All of that stuff it's way beyond me. So issues that happened with the game technically, yes, I've heard there, yes. Issues that might have come up between the game originators and the other entity. I'm not involved with that in any way, and that may have contributed to some of the issues. Was it the storyline? I don't know. I didn't have control over that. The only thing I had control over was my performance, and I think I did an okay job at the time.
You did a very good job.
That's really nice to hear.
I
don't ever hear these things from people, and I don't go online and look at reviews of what I did. And are there reviews available to look at? I could do that, I guess. But
there's reviews of the game, but I don't know about your performance. The performance was wonderful. The game wasn't viewed that great by many.
Yeah.
But your performance is what sells it, really.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes, you just made my day by saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. Many people actually say that the only thing that made the game sell is your voice because you're just really good.
Well, thank you guys. That's really nice to hear.
Well, we have the chance to say it because it is that way. So we wouldn't say that it would be true. We don't like.
Then I think I'll stay working in this industry and see if I can maybe do some more.
Yes, that sounds like a plan.
Call me if you have a job.
Everyone call him.
I'm in my house without a job now, so happy to help out.
So yeah, hopefully we see all of the Postal dudes in one game. That will be cool.
Yeah, again, I can't comment further on what's coming up.
Can't comment.
The world will have to wait.
But we appreciate that you told us that you are somehow connected with Postal 4. And yeah,
Yeah, and then people need to not think about what I look like and just think about what the postal dude looks like. 'Cause
of
this is
course,
all right.
we are going to make a CGI moment here. We are going to make you look like the postal dude. Okay, no one can do
Oh,
that.
that would be cool. I'd like to see that.
Eric, do you have any connections?
Do I have any connections?
Any CGI connections?
I know some people, but that might take a while.
It can take any time, you know? We just need it to look like he's the postal dude. Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, that's actually an interesting topic to think about, is because I was able to look at when I initially went to record the first lines for the postal dude, I knew what the character looked like. And when you're thinking about what this character should sound like, having a visual like that makes a lot of difference when you're doing your analysis of who that character should be and what you're going to bring out. And you actually asked me earlier, and I don't think I quite answered the question. I got off on a tangent about something in character analysis, and was he moody and skeptical? Yeah. But you actually asked me if the character sounds like me or if he sounds like the character. And the answer to that is also yes, in some way, because there is only so much I can do with the texture of my voice, but it's about getting him into kind of a moody, grumpy mood, or is he really hungover today? Or there are different ways. Ultimately, it's still going to sound somewhat like me and what you're hearing right now, but it depends on the moment and what the scene is. And there are a lot of different ways you can bring that out. And so does he sound like me? I don't know. You guys have played the game.
I have.
Does he sound?
Actually, I haven't. I only
Yeah.
have
Play them.
I really haven't played Postal 3 yet. But
I will say it's hard. If I didn't know there was a different voice actor, I would think it would be the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ultimately going to be a part of me
And
playing this character in some sense, and every character you do is going to be that way.
Yeah.
So maybe that answered your question from before, which I didn't. I don't think I completed the answer earlier.
Do you recall any favorite line from Postal 3? Or Lost?
That's a tough question. Yeah, I do not. Other than the obvious, I regret nothing.
I regret nothing.
is
no regrets.
That's the catchphrase. That's the obvious one. But again, back to it. It was a long time ago, and I don't have those scripts anymore. And I said a lot of things. I probably said a few swear words.
A lot
here and there. Yeah, I know there's a lot of that, which I'm comfortable doing. It's just acting.
Yep.
And it was not a PG-13 game, so.
Yes, of course.
Do your children have your children seen the game by any chance?
No, I have one child, and she's 25 now, but she has not ever seen the game or played it or any of that. Her boyfriend, I know, is a big gamer, and he had heard of it, but he had never played it at any point. No, she hasn't seen it. I tend to keep most of my work things away from her life unless she inquires about it, which is rare for a child to ask the parent about the details about their work life. But I've done a lot of different things over the years, and some of them I choose not to tell my child about.
Well, it would be
This
fun.
is one that I did not go into any detail with her about. Especially because at the time she was quite young. She would have been about 12 years old, maybe, very impressionable. And so as a parent, not really something I wanted to impress upon my 12-year-old.
Well, it would be still interesting to realize years later that, for example, her father is the postal dude, because that is really just interesting to me. Like, I don't know if any of our fathers, and we would realize that they are the postal dude. Oh my goodness. It is just interesting.
See, that's interesting that you would say that. I would never think about that. I don't think about that role as having that kind of an impact, but
Well, it
You
has
guys,
definitely has some kind of impact, and it's a big impact, definitely, because Postal Free is really just a game that without your voice wouldn't be a good game. I mean, it ain't a good game, but still, your voice just sells it. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
and that comes to the conclusion that people contact Corey, because if you don't contact,
Please do.
you don't get any lines.
I'd love to hear from anybody. You can hit my website. It's CoreyCandrayVO.com.
Yes, we will
Yeah.
definitely include that in the description. And do you have any message for the people for the end? I mean, like we have recorded that, but shh. And so yeah, but would you have anything to say for the people?
I have no regrets about being on the VŌC Podcast. No regrets at all.
Does that mean you are willing to return in the future?
Absolutely. I would love to come, but this was actually very fun, you guys. I appreciate you inviting me on and having an interest level in inviting me on, which is to me very bizarre. I've never done anything like this, especially a video podcast. I spent all those years on the radio, but that was, nobody could see me. And that's very different. But being invited to be on your podcast, I consider it an honor. Thank you guys for having an interest in what this old guy has to say. Ronald and Eric, this has been fun. Thank you for making this a part of my day.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, make sure to be prepared because the VŌC Podcast, we just write and you accept or not accept. So be prepared in the future.
I'll look forward to hearing from you guys again.
Yeah, same. So have a very good day.
Listen, kiddo, I don't know about you, but I just loved this. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the VŌC Podcast. And now, if you excuse me, I have some important stuff to take care of. Salutations. Where's the cash, buddy?
What do you mean? You said you would...
I asked, where's the cash?
We don't have a budget.
You know what? I'll fucking kill you all.
Ronald, run.
Fuck!
Merry fucking Christmas and happy holidays from the Postal Dude. Make sure to kick ass and prepare for the next dude.